This is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and raise our voices in song. And if you want to raise your bodies up, that's great too. Sunday morning, and here we are, coming together from near and far. We're unity, oh, for you and for me. I've got family waiting for me. Every Sunday I'm glad to see. We're unity, oh, for you and for me. My, we're so happy it's Sunday. This is our very own Unity Day. We're here where we belong with all of our family. We're unity, oh, for you and for me. The sun is shining and I am too. I feel so happy. How about you? We're unity, oh, for you and for me. We're so grateful that love abounds with the brothers and sisters all around. We're unity, oh, for you and for me. My, we're so happy it's Sunday. This is our very own Unity Day. We're here where we belong with all of our family. We're unity, oh, for you and for me. We're unity, oh, for you and for me.
There was our beloved Jim Chapman. Oh my, he's even with us when he's not with us. That's great. There we go. Slides are coming up. One more slide will be our welcome slide. There we go. Welcome to Unity. Welcome home. Yes, absolutely. As Jim was singing, this is our home, our beloved Unity home. The Christ candle represents the light that we share in the world. We are going to welcome Anna to come on up and light our Christ candle. Do you see the funny stick? There it is. Oh, it's tricky. There you go. There, excellent, Anna, thank you. I've got 4 university degrees, but I can't work one of those for the barbecue. Let's go to our next slide. Talking about power. This month, the month of June, the power is for imagination, and the color is blue, and it stands for imagination, the light blue. I thought about this as I was looking in my closet, because oftentimes the ladies who come up here and lead have the color on that is, the same color as what is for the month. Well, I didn't think that jeans were the most appropriate thing to be wearing, and that's the only thing really I had for light blue in my closet. Excuse me. Here at Unity of London, we welcome first-timers, returning guests, long-time members, our friends on Zoom, and all those who will join us later on the internet. We celebrate the spirit of abundance here at Unity. We celebrate the spirit of love, life in our community. As we grow together, we learn the joys of giving as well as receiving from each other. Next slide. There we go, the 5 principles. Please repeat with me our 5 principles. Number 1, God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. Number 2, I am naturally good because God's divinity is within me and in everyone. 3, I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. Number 4, through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I do my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. How do we make a difference? When I practice being the change, I make a difference by sharing a smile or a kind word, by paying attention to someone who looks lonely or sad, by volunteering my time to help out. When we do this, we are inspiring other people to make a positive change in this world. We can be the change. I want to, coexisting. Yes, we coexist. Everyone is welcome here at Unity of London. We have got a guest singer today. Her name is Carolyn Birchhill, and she's one of the area's best-known singer-songwriters. She toured across Canada, sharing her performing talents, and in addition to being a featured performer at Purple Hill and at area retirement facilities, she's also a regular guest on Jim Chapman's Friends and Family Wednesday nights. She is very pleased, and we are very pleased to have her with us this morning at Unity of London.
Thank you. Check. Any sound here? Check. Any sound? Okay, there we go. Thank you so much for that introduction. Dawn, I said your name right.
I was telling her that you might be called Wayne because of the young man.
This is an honor to be asked to sing here. And Jim Chapman, when he contacted me, he requested these, the 2 songs I'm going to sing today are requested by Jim. And this church has a special meaning to me. One of my sisters who passed away 10 months ago used to come here on a regular basis, and she's the one that first told me about Unity Center. So yeah, a special place in my heart here. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? Oh, and how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times must the cannonball fly before the forever is blowing in the wind. And how many years must a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? And how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? And how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? Well, the answer, my friend, is blowing in. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. That was lovely. Our prayer chest, we have that right there on the table before us. And most of you know that you can just take a slip of paper and put the names of anyone that you would like prayer for, be it yourself or anybody else, and slip it in the box. Our prayer chaplains will pray over those names of those individuals, and then they will be sent on to Unity International, called Silent Unity, and they'll pray over those names for another 30 days. Now, if you have any day, any time that you need prayer, it's not on a Sunday where you can slip it in the box. You can call 1-800-NOW-PRAY, and there are lovely people there at Silent Unity that will answer the phones and will be thrilled to pray with you. I've called there myself, and I'm so glad that I did. What blessed, wonderful people are there. Now today, you can pray. You can pray with our prayer chaplains. Today, our prayer chaplains are Kate and Wilda. Now, Kate is the individual right there in yellow, and she'll be in the fellowship area or wandering around the building somewhere, and she'll be more than happy to pray with you. Just speak to her or tap her on the shoulder, and she'll pray with you. Wilda is available for those people who are online, and all you have to do is just put a message in the chat, and the folks here will put you with Wilda after the service, and she'll be happy to pray with you. Okay. All right. I'd like to call up our prayer chaplains, Lindsay, Kate, Lorraine, Grace, Pauline, and anybody else who's prayer chaplain who'd like to pray. We're going to pray over the names that, oh, here's Grace, and here's Lorraine. Yes. Divine Spirit, we pray for all those whose names were found in the prayer box during the month of May and the month of June. We know, Lord, that you are aware of what their issues are, what they would like prayer for, and we thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you are providing, the answers, the right and perfect answers for these individuals. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Oops. I invite each of you to relax in your chairs, to close your eyes or dim your gaze. If you feel comfortable to do so, you don't have to. Together, we release all negative thoughts as we connect with Divine Spirit within. Lord, we send blessings to each one gathered here at 501 Nelson Street, to our friends online with us now, and those who will be viewing this service later. We pray for all of our Unity of London members, all those who are part of our London community and the Soho communities. We utilize our power of imagination to focus on things that are positive for all in the world. We pray for each one whose name has been found in the prayer box, and we pray for those loving individuals who place those names there. Divine Spirit, we express gratitude for each one who shares of their time, talents, and treasures for the benefit of others. We hold peace and love in our hearts and see peace and love spreading throughout the world. We pray also for Unity Winnipeg and for Silent Unity. Divine Source, we affirm the right and perfect outcomes for all, and so it is. Amen. Next slide. Oh, yes. I'm going to have the pleasure of welcoming our dear Kate, who is going to read the daily word for us and introduce our speaker.
Good morning. The daily word for today is prayer. Prayer flows through my life. Just as my body needs water to stay healthy, my soul draws strength from living water, the ever-flowing presence of Spirit within me. As I drink from this well, I am refreshed and ready to meet each moment prayerfully. Fortified by divine love, prayer flows naturally. When challenges or opportunities arise, I turn inward. When I start or complete a task, I pause to express gratitude. When I meet someone in need or am helped by another, I hold them in thoughts of light and love. Whether I pray aloud or pray silently, the prayerful energy arising from within me is a blessing. I open myself to Spirit's presence, and my prayer practice deepens. Prayer flows as naturally as breath itself, an inspired rhythm of life sustained by living water that never runs dry. And from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 18, pray in the Spirit at all times in every prayer and supplication. It is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning. Our spiritual leader and licensed Unity teacher, Pauline Duncan Thrasher, has been with Unity since 2012. and after years of studies became an LUT in 2023. Today she is speaking about relationship building. I'm sure this will be an interesting topic for most of us. I'm really looking forward to what she has to say and how it relates to unity. Please help me welcome to the podium Pauline.
Thanks, Kate. Thank you very much, Kate. What a joy to see people here on this sunny, gorgeous day. And I know that all of you have given up sunshine for a few minutes to gain the sunshine in unity. And Carolyn, what a fabulous song. Takes me back. And sunshine in our lives is an important message. I don't know if you picked up the monthly bulletin and that sweet little picture of a child sitting on a suitcase with fingers outstretched. Now, I do have to tell you that inside there is a little message that there would be basic 4 principles on next Sunday. It cannot be, I'm sorry, because I will be celebrating a wedding at 12:30 in Civic Garden. So it cannot be then. And we don't want it to be on Father's Day because Father's Day is very special. So it will probably be the week prior. That's just a little message that I wanted to share while it was on my mind. What about relationships? And what do they have to do with imagination? Everything. Everything. I read recently that in every person we meet, every person, there is a purpose. And that purpose might be to torment us. Sometimes we meet people and we think, save me. It might be to test us, to test our patience, to test our knowledge, to test our resilience. We might meet a person who will become a dear and close friend. We might meet a person who will teach us, mentor us, pray with us. And this morning, I won't say who, but I had the most beautiful experience of praying with someone. And I'm used to saying, how can I pray with you? And this person said, how can I pray with you? It was a gift, and I will cherish it in my heart. Remember when you were a child and you would, maybe even now, Dan and I did it one year at camp. We lay in the grass and looked up at the sky and looked at all the clouds and just pictured what they looked like. Maybe one looked like an elephant, and another cloud might look like a tree or a cherub or a person. They weren't actually those things. It was our imagination that took us to that beautiful place. Charles Fillmore said, imagination is when the formless takes form. I don't know about you, but I look back on parts of my life where I certainly did not feel confident. I knew I was loved by the people that my mother, my aunt, my uncle. But people that I met, that was pretty different. Walking into a room full of strangers, or even a room with a lot of people chatting and joking and laughing loudly, I always felt sort of on the outskirts. Sometimes I still do, to be honest. How could imagination help me? Or you? Or if you're in a situation where you feel that nobody really cares about you. You see them talking to other people, you see them hugging other people, and you think, why aren't they hugging me? Why aren't they talking to me? Why aren't they paying attention to me? Well, maybe you're focusing too much on me. And maybe it's imagining that you are a light shining for that person. And what could you do to bring a smile to that person? And how might they respond if you acted in a kindly way? I found a book that it's not by one of our Unity teachers, but I will be happy to lend it if anybody asks me after. Just lend. It's called Who is My Neighbor? By a man called Steve Moore. And the top subtitle is Being a Good Samaritan in a Connected World. You might remember the story of the Good Samaritan, even though he specifically says Jesus never used the word Good Samaritan. But you might recall that story. It's in Luke. I didn't bring my Bible. I wanted a light bag today. But I will tell you the story anyhow. One of the elders, one of the religious experts, strode up to Jesus and asked, "What's the best law?" Now really, whenever experts came up to Jesus in public, they were trying to trick him. They wanted to catch him publicly. And Jesus said, "Well, what do you think?" I think the question was, how can I get eternal life? And Jesus said, "Well, what do you think?" So the elder said, "Well, love your neighbor as yourself with your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole body, your whole soul." Love your neighbor as God. And then the question came from the expert. Well, who is your neighbor? Hoping again to catch Jesus. And Jesus, instead of being caught in that trap, gave the parable of the Samaritan. The man who was walking down a dusty road, got attacked by robbers, his clothes torn off him, beaten up, and left lying in the ditch. A priest came by, heard the moaning and groaning, walked away as though he had seen nothing. A Levite came by, walked away. A Samaritan came by. Now, if you have known some of your biblical history, you know that Samaritans were reviled by the Jewish people. They were considered, according to Stephen, as people in the hood, the other side of the road. So it was the Samaritan who went over, picked up the man, took him to an inn, bathed his wounds, bandaged him, paid money to the innkeeper to look after him until he was better. Then Jesus asked a question. Who do you think was the best neighbor? And the religious expert answered, well, the man who helped the man in the ditch. He didn't want to say the Samaritan. So the point of that whole story, that parable, and Jesus' parables always had a message, is that if we are to be loving, as God loves, we need to push back the barriers. Take off the blinders that say, I'm only going to love my dear friends in Unity because they make me feel good. And reach out to other people. Now that takes some imagination. I heard a story of some awful happenings in a neighborhood not far from me. And I thought, ooh, I don't think I want to go walking in that neighborhood. But what if somebody in that neighborhood needed some food or some help? Or even our Unity Garden, which is on Adelaide, across from the Ukrainian Hall, between Thompson and Commissioners. Our Unity Garden, which I haven't been to yet. And I know Teresa's here. She's probably been there. No, she hasn't. Has anybody been to our Unity Garden? Okay, here's an... Oh, somebody Renee has. Yay, Renee. So that's a Unity Garden for us to plant things. Maybe food. Maybe flowers. If we plant food, maybe somebody in the food bank could use that food. Can you imagine yourself doing that? There is a story told of a young soldier, a true story. And this happened in Croatia. He was there in a peacekeeping mission. And his name was Mark Izzard. Oh, well, I remember the story anyway because it's a beautiful story. Mark Izzard was out one day with his troop. He was a corporal. And he saw a doll lying in the rubble. He thought at first it was a child because it was the size of a child. And a house had just been destroyed. So he walked over and he picked up the doll, looked around, no children. He took a picture of the doll and sent it to his mom. His mom who lived in BC. Because it touched his heart. And he sent her a little message and he said, here's a doll that lost its little child. And somewhere there's a little child that lost its doll. When he went home on leave and his mom saw him, she knew that he will need something to comfort him when he went back into Croatia. And she was touched by the story of a little child who lost the doll in the midst of warfare. So she began to crochet little dolls. For the girls, blonde with pigtails. For the boys, a little blue beret. And she gave them to her son so he could take back into the war zone and pass out to children. And sadly, but before the sad part, he did pass them out to many children, and they loved them. A year later, he was blown up in a landmine. But his troop members kept on the tradition. They had teased him for a while because he was stuffing these little dolls in his uniform, passing them out. You can imagine them thinking that was kind of funny, but after he died, they kept going with the tradition. And they called the dolls Izzy dolls after their companion. Since then, years later, Izzy dolls have been passed out to war-torn countries all over the world. More than 2.5 million Izzy dolls. And they've been crocheted and knitted by a lot of seniors who remembered the war, remembered the depression, and imagined the joy in little children's hearts when they received a little doll. Now that was imagination, sparked by love, sparked by a young man picking up a doll, taking the photo, and sending it to his mom. Now the Izzy dolls are handed out not just to war-torn countries, but to children in health care, palliative care, maybe children who are depressed. Imagine what we could do. Imagine what you could do as a source of love for someone else. And it does take faith, wisdom, and love to build relationships of any kind. Sometimes the people we meet are acquaintances, and we see them from time to time, then we don't see them. Sometimes acquaintances become friends because we imagine that acquaintance blooming a little bit. Maybe like the acorn that was given to us at our Unity Canada conference last fall. Now, this acorn, when planted, might grow into a mighty oak, or it might not grow at all. Might just stay there. But the potential is there. As the potential is within each one of us, to take a look at our relationships. Do they nurture us? Do the friends we have nurture us as we nurture them? Or sometimes is it a little bit lopsided because at that moment my friend needs more. And that's okay, because eventually I might need more. So it's a little bit like a teeter-totter. Sometimes we'll have friends, they move away, we lose touch. A few weeks ago, well, not maybe even last week, whenever I spoke in Unity Halton Peel, I saw my dear friend Margot. And Margot had been in London. When we were friends then, she was glamorous and she always wore beautiful clothes. She always smelled like soft perfume. She was a musician. She sang, played the organ. And our relationship was me really respecting her musical ability. And then I went to visit her at Unity. And we were a little more on an equal level. And then in the last several years, she gradually began to develop dementia. But she still remembers me. And so there she was online saying, "Oh, there's Pauline." Now she lives with her daughter. Are you able to maintain friendships even when the person becomes less healthy, less vibrant? Are you able to imagine yourself, if you tend to be an introvert, and some of us are? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands. Don't worry. If you tend to be an introvert, maybe you are drawn to people who are outgoing, vibrant, the life of the party. Or maybe you're saying, "No, thank you. I'll stick with people who are quiet like me." It's all up to you. We have choice. We embrace our choice at Unity. When Paul Hasselbeck talked about the power of imagination, and if you haven't read any of his books, The 12 Powers by Paul Hasselbeck, who recently passed away, has so many great descriptions. And when he talks about imagination, he talks about how it can lift us up. We can imagine ourselves. And I know some of you in this room who are sitting in chairs down there thought, "Don't even ask me to go up there, Pauline. Do not even ask me to go up there and be a platform leader. I'm not a speaker. Don't ask me." So I didn't for a while. And then eventually, I sort of put out a little tentacle. And before we know it, we are seeing people standing up here as platform leaders or in my Toastmasters Club as speakers or evaluators, you can just see them rise in confidence as though they're standing taller. It began with imagination. But the imagination just by itself, no. It's as though I took this sweet little acorn and I just put it in dry ground and I never watered it or anything. So the imagination is there. You can use it. You can grow it. You can become the person you want to be in any relationship. Now, if you want to be a friend with someone and they act as though they couldn't care less, maybe you are imagining rejection before it's there. Maybe in the past you were rejected. Long time ago, I stood on a dance floor at Western, my first and only dance. Only one. It was welcoming freshmen. And this young guy came up and asked me to dance. I thought, oh, good. Thank goodness somebody's going to ask me to dance. I'd never met him before. We danced a few steps, and then he said, I'll be right back. He never came back. And I stood there for a while thinking, maybe I'd go to the washroom or get a drink. Around me were people dancing. I could let that scar me for life. I could stand up and say, oh, I felt so sad. But I got over it. Imagination allows us to get over the rejections if we let it. I was on a webinar with Rev. Cynthia Vermillion Foster, and I won't say a lot about it, but it was a super one called Dance of Triangles. And then the Dance of Triangles, picture a triangle, there's a victim, there's a perpetrator, and there's a champion. Which part do you play? Maybe all three. Do you want to stay in a victim role? Do you enjoy imagining yourself as a source of pity? That's a slippery slope. That's a relationship where you may be pushing people away unwittingly. And I just ask that because I've been there. Do you want to be seen as the champion rescuer? I'm going to save everybody. That might wear you out after a while. And certainly I hope you don't want to be seen as the perpetrator. So it's all about imagining our relationships. Imagining who you want to be and growing into that. And growing into the loving, kind person that you are able to be. I also read a little bit from Stephen Covey, who talks about paradigms. And the paradigm is just how we see life, how we interpret life, how we perceive life. And how we perceive life may be how we perceive ourselves in relationships. Just think for a moment. How do you see yourself? Are you a good, solid friend that can be depended on? Are you a friend who's sometimes needy and you call for help and you receive it gratefully? Are you someone who thinks, I don't think anybody likes me that much? And that's a sad place to be. Because if you think that way about yourself, you're going to keep on going backwards, retreating. And life's no fun if you have nobody. Sometimes it just means stretching out your hand. So I invite you just to consider relationships and paradigms. And Mahatma Gandhi, one of my favorite spiritual leaders, said it very simply. Love is the absence of judgment. So if you're judging in your head, and you say, they won't know that I'm judging them. Oh, yes, they will. They can figure it out. If you're going around judging in your head, it's a turn off to friendship. And Martha Creek, who I hope to bring in as a speaker in the fall, said it very simply. Feel the expansiveness of an open mind. Is your mind open to relationships that are nurturing, fulfilling, generous, and ones that you truly appreciate? So it is. We imagine, we act, maybe teeny little step, and before we know it, that teeny acorn is starting to grow. Maybe a tiny bit at a time. And your relationships with other people are beginning to grow. You all look so serious. Ooh. I wish I had a joke right now, but I don't. So let us then go into meditation. I invite you to lower your gaze if that feels better than just closing your eyes totally. To breathe in love. To breathe in the thought of you as a beacon of light and love with all those you know. Let go of any darkness. I used to think as a child when I closed my eyes it would be dark, but it's not. When you close your eyes, you can imagine light inside. The yellow of Kate Shields' dress. The yellow of a sunflower. The pale yellow of candlelight. All those lovely, shimmering, warm shades are flowing through you now. All symbolizing your openness to being appreciated and to appreciating possibilities of friendship, of mutual conversations. Just breathe in the thought that imagination can color your world any color you choose. And through all of this is our oneness with divine presence, our source, that source within of love, faith, hope, wisdom. We breathe it in. And for a moment or so, we just sit in quiet. And to conclude our message, our meditation, I share with you an excerpt from Eric Butterworth from his book Practical Metaphysics, The Quest for Love. Our need is not to be loved. Our need is to love. Within every person, there's a hunger and a thirst to express love, to radiate love, to get ourselves in tune with the cosmic flow at the root of our being. Whatever God is me. Love. And so it is. And so we let it be. Just rest in that thought.
Thank you, Pauline. We love your stories, your poignant stories that help us to remember your wisdom that you've shared with us. Let's bring back this wonderful singer, Caroline Burchill.
Well, now I understand why Jim Chapman chose these two songs for me to sing. They really fit today's sermon. This one's more of an up-tempo sing-along song for you, so don't be shy. There's a dark and a troubled side of life. There's a bright, there's a sunny side too. Though we meet with the dark strife, the sunny side will also make you. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way if we keep on the sunny side of life. The storm and its fury broke today, crushing hopes we cherish so dear. Clouds and storms will come and time will pass away. The sun again will shine bright and clear. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day and all the way if we keep on the sunny side of life. If we on the sunny side of life. There you go. Thank you.
Well, it's time for the passing of the donation bags. It's your sharing of your... Sorry? Somebody say something? Oh, sorry. Chuck, be quiet. It is the sharing of your talents, your time, and your treasures with us at Unity of London that keeps us the thriving community that we are, a spiritually uplifted unity where individuals are unified in love and fellowship. We affirm prosperity and abundance for Unity of London and all spiritual communities in all forms and in all realms, body, mind, and spirit. We're just waiting. Here we go. Let's join together in the prosperity blessing. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. Announcements. We've got a number of announcements. We'll just open up the announcement slides. There we go. The Sacred Circle is happening again today at 12 noon, right here in the fellowship room, and Chuck is going to lead us with that. It sounds like my dad, with the horses leading. There's got to be a better word for that. Chairing the message. That sounds better. Yeah. Oh, and Pizza and Principles. Is that the one that you were saying is going to be? Oh, this is the new date. Okay, Sunday the 28th of June after the service at 1:15, a discussion of basic unity principles. For all new members or anyone who is interested are welcome to attend. There's a sign-up sheet at the back, and lunch will be provided. Now, if you're not interested, you shouldn't be sneaking in just to get pizza. Oh, June the 17th. Oh, this is our big Wednesday combo. That means that we're going to have a barbecue this time with burgers and hot dogs, veggies, gluten-free, salads, dessert, beverage, and again, it's $15 a person. And that's followed by Jim's concert with all these wonderful people that are going to be performing. Their names are going to be on the next slide. Purple Hill. Oh, did I not read that? Okay, Purple Hill, which, Carolyn, you're part of, aren't you? Yes, so come back to hear this beautiful voice with Carolyn. Oh, my goodness, it's great. Yes. And submit your Father's Day photos. June, of course, the 21st, and is Father's Day, and old photos will be utilized. Lorraine has old photos from some of us old people with your dads or pictures of your dads. And if you have new ones that you want to submit, by all means, and some of us, I shouldn't say some of us, some of you may have become a father, a grandfather since the last time that you submitted pictures. We'd love to see you in those pictures. Okay, please join me in reading the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love. The power of God protects me. I am the power. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Yay, God. That's very much a unity thing. When I first came and heard that, it was like, that's really different. Okay, let's join in our circle and sing the peace song. Okay, before we leave, there may be people that want to speak to those who are online and to Pauline. So whoever wants to come up and speak, please do. I'll give you the mic. Come up here. Something about the message.
Yeah.